So, is Elon Musk red pilled? No. Has Tim Pool been red pilled? No. With Elon Musk, it's kind of an interesting thing. If you look at his last couple of tweets, you would think that, yep, he took the red pill. That would depend on how far, politically speaking, he swung to the right. If it was a violent swing, that means he's going to come back left. It just means like he's got pissed off or whatever. But more than likely, Elon Musk just trolled everyone. He was just making... Because if you look down here in this tweet, take the red pill, and you got the red rose. Red rose is for the Democratic Socialists of America. So essentially, it's like, he was just trolling. He was just kind of jabbing people because, that's just the way Elon Musk is, and he's just creating more buzz and all that. But with Tim Pool, you're seeing a lot come out from him recently. That over the last couple of years, he's been challenging the Democrat and the liberal narrative. Now he's still, a milquetoast fence sitter, which is fine. But what's good about him is that he challenges both sides. He's not, I guess, cemented on the left, but he's cemented more center left. He challenges the left and he challenges right. But recently, the left, according to him, and I actually honestly agree with him, is the left has gone crazy. Antifa, Me Too, Russiagate, Chinagate, whatever. We're seeing people on the left go absolutely nuts. Even when Russiagate was completely debunked, okay? It has. Show me where I'm wrong. Did Trump collude with Russia? No. Did he collude with Ukraine? No. Matter of fact, the video I put out last night, or actually probably this morning, after it took 2.5 hours to render, basically give you a nice little shot of Joe Biden talking to Ukraine. And there was one particular phone call where the Ukrainian president said, yeah, I'm glad, we've got this guy, he resigned. And then Biden goes, great. Now that you did what I did, now we can give you the money. Basically, extortion, if you will, politically speaking. So, what with Tim Pool here? He hasn't been red pilled. But what he's seeing is that his own political ideology being challenged. And he's actually open to other ideas, which is good. I've always been more right of center. And then over the years, I've gone more libertarian. I'm not the perfect, small L libertarian or even the big L libertarian. I like a big military because I think national defense is number one for any country in the world, if you think about it. Because you need to be number one top dog on the block. Because if you're like number 50, people can roll roughshod over you and tell you what to do. Even as high as our debt is, I'm not happy with it. What can I do about it? I can't. I can complain about it. But I also challenge myself over the years of some of the stuff I actually think about and what I actually believe. And I've actually modified a bunch of my, internal policies and political ideology over the years. And I think that's what you're seeing. I mean, Tim, he's like, 32, 33 years old. I'm pushing my mid 40s here. There's that saying, if you're a liberal or if you're a conservative when you're in your, early 20s, you have no heart. If you're a liberal in your late 50s, you have no brain. I guess tongue in cheek, that's somewhat true because people over time, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've seen it a lot. People get more conservative over the years. Like, for instance, my mom, she was a 100% Hillary Clinton supporter, Bill Clinton supporter in the late 80s. Now she's like full-on Trump train. How did that happen? Well, just over the years, she just started noticing crap, living in California, and noticing all the crap that she didn't like. And then she says, you know what? I align with these people over here more. I've always been that way, where I've always aligned myself to the political right. So what I say, I say I've been red pilled much younger in my life, but as the older I get, I demand more freedom from my government, which I'm not getting, unfortunately. It's just the way it is. I mean, you just see it right now, and I did a video on it yesterday where that guy he got arrested for going to the frickin' gym, and now they want to bring more charges against that guy. All this was civil disobedience. That's a ticket. That's a citation. You pay it, or you go to court and fight it. Now they want it. What a cite? This is insane. Phil Murphy is human trash. And I just feel like in today's world, liberals are just that. They're human trash. Not all of them, okay? But more often than not, they want you to follow Big Brother and kowtow to the liberal establishment. And what we're seeing now is people, even in my own life and my own friends, who may have been more left of center, who are moving more right. Not necessarily they're changing their, dare I say, views on abortion or, mandatory minimum income, et cetera, but they're starting to see the liberals for who they really are. Because for a long time, people just kind of go, liberals, I believe them, I'm just going to vote D down the line. But after the years, they start to actually question, or they think, wait a minute, why am I voting for this guy when this guy is taking more of my money and more of my freedom away? So it doesn't make sense to vote against, I guess, your own rights. I guess if that's what I'm trying to get at. Yeah, why would you do that? Why would you vote against your own rights? That makes zero sense. So when you get people like Elon Musk, perhaps he's challenging his own political ideology and the way he thought over the last, how old he is, 40, 50 years of his life. Same thing with Tim Pool. He grew up in Chicago, skateboarder. He always thought that the liberals are always the ones that are right. They always fight for your rights. But slowly but surely, he's learning that this is not the case anymore. Liberals don't want you to have rights. I would say that would be incorrect to say all liberals. I would say progressives, dare I say socialists and communists of the liberal wing of the Democratic Party. They don't want you to have rights. They don't want you to live a life free of, to do what you want. They want you to pay higher taxes, and they want the people that don't live in this country to get money, your own money, because the thing is that liberals, progressives, they want unfettered immigration into the United States. Why? Because most of the time, these people coming from other countries, they're socialist countries or authoritarian countries. And so they look at the liberals and go, well, you know what? We like that. I'm used to it, so I'm going to vote liberal because they're going to give me more money. Okay, fine. But what's the case for the majority of Cubans coming over from, over the strait and into Miami? More often than not, Cuban refugees become, I wouldn't say dyed-in-the-wool, country club Republicans, but they can become more conservative because they saw what happened. They don't like authoritarian governments. And they noticed that, liberals, socialism, socialists, communists, this is where I came from. I don't really want that. Now, I can't speak for all of them. I did live in Miami for 4 years, and I did see this. But what you're seeing now with people like Elon and Tim and other people I know, they start to challenge their own way of thinking instead of just going on with whatever the Democratic establishment tells them. They actually start to challenge it, and they're like, "I don't like where this is going," and they hit a roadblock, and they don't want to fight it. They hit that roadblock, and they say, "Wait a minute, I can't challenge this. I've always voted Democrat. I keep voting Democrat, but if I keep voting Democrat, most of my rights are getting taken away. They're taking more of my money away. I have to work harder and longer hours so I can pay my taxes to the government. How is that fair?" And I'm not saying Republicans or conservatives or even libertarians are much better. They are better in a way. The ones that don't want to control you, those are the good ones. People like Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky. He's good. He doesn't want to control your life. I mean, obviously he has, things I probably don't agree with, and probably things I do agree with him. But for the most part, when you have people like this who are dyed-in-the-wool Democrats for all of these many years, and so when they come into an awakening, a red pill moment, they don't like it. They fight against it. They fight against the current. Like that. For instance, if you're swimming in the ocean and you get caught into a rip current, it pulls you out. If you try to fight it, you keep getting pulled out. But if you swim to the side, you'll get out of it eventually. And that's what we're seeing right now. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of Democrats, a lot of liberals, a lot of even socialists, if you will, who actually start to challenge their own political ideology. And they don't like what they see, and they fight it. Learning, growing up, I went to church a lot. And I don't go to church much anymore because I just don't. It's not that I don't believe there's a God or whatever. I don't know. I've kind of like, worship and pray or whatever to God in my own different way. I don't like big church settings. I think it's a lot of it's, I do think some of it's fake. You kind of put on a nice suit, you go into church, and it's kind of like you're putting on this facade, and I don't really like that. I curse sometimes. I drink, so I kind of like, I'm not really that typical standard Baptist that goes to church I kind of just do my own thing. Maybe it's good or bad or not, it's fine. But over the years, I've challenged my way, I guess my Christian upbringing. I've sort of challenged it and say, why do I think this way? And then, should I challenge it? What's the difference? So I've gone through like a sort of not a reformation, if you will, but an awakening of sorts. And I think that I didn't fight it. I sort of, like I said, I challenged it. I sat back and reflected. And I think that there's a lot of people out there, especially liberals, who have this red pill moment, have a hard time reflecting on, why do I believe the things I believe? If they don't sit back and actually challenge that, and they just try to suppress it, and they're like, oh crap, I gotta suppress it, and they keep suppressing it, it's gonna keep bubbling up until finally they just say, you know what? I don't like conservatives, and I don't like liberals now, but I am more conservative than I am liberal. And people will latch on to that. But going back to what the church saying, to force somebody to take on to a religion, you're going to fight against that. You're going to rebel against it. But if you let people over time, sort of like the frog in the water on the stove analogy, I guess, where if you throw a frog into a hot boiling pot of water, it instantly dies. But if you put it in there and you slowly turn the heat up, it'll actually adapt to it. I'm not saying that's a good way to do that to people, but I think over time people will, if you just keep presenting ideas and you don't force it on them, they'll take on to it and are like, you know what? I'm glad you didn't force your political ideology on me, because I started to think, and reflect and, take time and, investigate, why do I think the way I do? And I think that's whole I guess thesis of my video is you need to, if you're on the fence right now, whether you should go full on conservative or even stay just on the fence and sort of adapt more center right, I guess, ideology, talk to people. More often than not, you can talk to a conservative or a libertarian. They're not going to try to poke and prod you. You must become a liberal or else. They're not going to do that. They're going to talk to you and, hey, this is why I believe, if you want, cool, we can talk more. More often than not, liberals say, you will believe this or else. Gay marriage is the best. And they're like, okay, well, I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, but you should have no problem with the rest of it. There's 95 genders. Like, well, I don't think there's 95 genders. How dare you? And they start berating people who think, who don't think like them. I have no problem with somebody else who thinking different than me. I'm glad you do. No one should be like a monolith and just be a zombie and think just like everybody else and follow the same path, the same horde path, right through the woods. Why? So on this day 66, I think, 67, I don't even know anymore, but it'll be in the description. But yeah, so I guess that's all I got to say. I'm just, coming to think about, what people who are going through these these political shifts, which is a good thing. You should challenge the way you think. Why do you think the way you think? I do that every day almost. It's like, why do I think the way I think? And then I look at liberals and Democrats and go, that's why I think. See you tomorrow.